It's great to have you back for another fantastic week of stats in the domain monetization side of the industry. And I'm going to reveal some new stuff I've never revealed before. So don't go away. As normal, it's been unbelievably busy here. I must admit, I've been working like probably 12 to 14-hour days. There's just so much work to get done on the race up to Christmas. I'm sure we all enjoyed Cyber Monday and Black Friday, as well as spending money. We're out there generating the money from our wonderful domain names. And I must admit, like, we found that they're some of the biggest days we've ever had, and just is explosive in sort of size and everything. So that was pretty exciting from ParkLogic's perspective. Masterclass lessons, let me tell you, we had our first masterclass lessons get together, where it was a Q&A session. I opened up some more information about the data and everything like that I shared in the masterclass lessons. And there's questions being fired left, right, and center. And it was fantastic. It really was. Had a great time with a good bunch of people. And if you want to go and join one of those sessions, then please reach out to us. Make sure you do some of those masterclass lessons, and we'll put you on the email list. And we're hoping to run something like this once a month. And we'll just do it at a Zoom meeting where you can ask your questions about domain monetization. And the other thing, we've got some great feedback from people on some ideas of how we can improve masterclass lessons, which is fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to running another one of those in a few weeks' time. But in the meantime, let's take a look at today's numbers, and that'll be great. Okay, so what have we got here? Today's numbers. We're looking here at the EPC. I've chopped the number of slides back a bit so I can spend a bit more time on a few of the critical ones. But the EPC, you can notice right at the end. If you look right at the end there was a big jump in EPC and CTR together. That's Cyber Monday. So that's the results of when people spend lots of money online and advertisers love them for it. We don't see it quite yet in the rolling 40-day average, which is expected because there's only a single number there. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in next week's video. But there is an uptick of such, which is amazing. You think about Cyber Monday in particular, it was a single day and it's had so much of an impact on a 14-day rolling average that it all goes up once. But anyway, so SEPC, CTR, revenue split. What's actually happening with the split of revenue? Who's winning it? Blue is Google, and we've got red is the direct advertising networks. And as we were seeing, remember way back here, we were suggesting, you know what, I think there's a trend beginning to form, the direct advertising networks. And it's continued on. They're paying out more and more and more of the revenue, which is great. I'm sorry, that graph looks like I've made it a little bit too big, so I've lost my axes. But you get the idea. The trends are in place, and they're firmly in place. The interesting thing about that, though, is that the direct advertising networks, they made a lot of money from travel and also from the finance sector and everything like that. And they really haven't come alive as yet. So I think what's actually happening is, in order to survive, I hate to say, the direct advertising networks have had to diversify greatly. And in the diversification process, they found different market verticals that can really meet the needs of those customers. And they've grown from there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when those big major categories which are so impacted by COVID-19 come back. Okay, but even though they're spending more, they're not gaining more of the traffic. And you can see, once again, it's relatively flat, the amount of traffic they're winning. It'll be interesting to see where the tipping point is. I had an interesting conversation with one of our partners, and I said, the most important thing you need to work out is what that graph is of as you pay more for traffic, where's the tipping point where it becomes unprofitable versus profitable and all that sort of stuff. And you need to work that chart out. And I'm very happy from the work that chart out, because everyone has a different one of those charts, and that's where we can maximize the revenue for our clients. Because this particular network was complaining, they're saying, oh, we're not getting as much of the traffic we thought we would, yada, yada, yada. I'm going, just pay more for it. Just pay more, and you can graph that, create that chart, and you'll know exactly your profitability point. But yeah, sometimes they just don't get that though. But anyway, so let's moving on right now. So the Google versus direct advertising networks. Red is direct advertising networks. So I put them on the same chart once again, and you can see the direct advertising networks have taken off, and there's Cyber Monday at the end. They really exploded out of the box, and Google's way down here. So that tells you a couple of things right off the bat. If you've got all of your traffic only going to Google, you're missing out on that delta just there, that differential for your traffic. And Google does great, particularly Google has a massive breadth of advertising. So if you want to go along and advertise to sell your specialized set of cream-colored knitting needles, then Google's the place to go, because someone's looking for cream-colored knitting needles. But the reality is the great majority of traffic or the real upside for the domain industry is in the direct advertising network. I'm looking forward to back here, coming back to those days. There was a massive differential between the direct advertising networks and Google, and I think that's going to really happen. But let's move on now. Okay, so what's actually happened? This is a new chart I've decided to put in, which is basically, as my strategic management lecturer in my MBA said, is the line going up, is the line going down? So what was Google in blue doing last week? They're basically flat overall and looking at the normalized RPMs. What was the direct advertisers doing last week? They're going up. They're going up, yeah. So let's take a look at it this week, the current week. The direct advertising networks are still going up, and Google is flat. Going up slightly, but it's realistically flat. Like, considering that Black Friday and Cyber Monday, not doing too well there, I think. Yeah, so, and that's going to be an interesting trend moving forward. So here's a chart I haven't shown to very many people at all. This particular chart is looking at 3 random different parking companies, and the colors bear no resemblance at all to any of them. So don't get all sort of conspiratorial on me. But these 3 columns here is looking at the correlations for various metrics. And the correlations are absolutely fascinating. They really are. For example, if I look at, say, URLs to views, the correlation, by the way, I should actually go refresh our memory of statistics, what a correlation is. If it's -1, correlations go from -1 to +1. So if it's -1, that means there's an inverse relationship between the 2 metrics. So in other words, if something's going up, the other one's going down. If it's +1, then there's a positive correlation, which means if one's going up, the other one's going up. But if it's 0, it means if the other one's going up, the other one, it can be just random, just anywhere. So that's really what correlation is all about. Not quite right, but it'll do for us in what we're looking at. So if we look at the URLs to view, remember URLs is raw traffic to views, which is what is reported back by, say, each of, say, in this case, 3 parking companies, or monetization sources, actually. Yeah, so if we look at that, there's a -0.76. In other words, for the first one, the more traffic we send them, the less views they report for that traffic. Yeah, that's interesting. On the other hand, number 2 says, you know what? The more traffic you send me, the more views I'll report. And number 3 says, the more traffic you send me, I'll randomly think up some views and report it. So that's a phenomenal outcome. If we look at URLs to revenue, Now this is interesting. The more traffic you send me, the lower your revenue. The more traffic you send me, the more random your revenue. The more traffic you send me, the more random your revenue. Wow, wow. Now this is interesting stuff. Or how about this one? Views to revenue. More traffic you send me, the more revenue you'll generate. But they're reversed from above. So it's like that's like really confusing. Well, this one is the more views I report, the more random your revenue. The more views I report, the more revenue you receive. Yeah, so that's really odd. So you can look at it for normalized RPM, EPCs. Here's EPCs is really good. Where is it? CTR to EPC. Remember we keep seeing this inverse dance? Parking company 1 in this case, or monetization source number 1. The higher the CTR, the lower the EPC. So as the CTR went up, the EPC went down. The next one is a CTR went up, the EPC sort of went up. The last one is, as a CTR went up, the EPCs went down. So there's the inverse relationships right there. They really make no sense. But the last one is really interesting. Remember, clicks generate revenue. Okay, but do they really? So clicks to revenue, what's the correlation? The more clicks you have, don't really know whether you're going to get much revenue out of this one here. Yeah, it's sort of like, yeah. Well, this one is, or number 2 is, the more clicks I have, the more random my revenue. The last one is, the more clicks I have, it's sort of like, oh, yeah, I'll give you some revenue, only because I have to. It's almost like that. Yeah, so look at the correlations is a fascinating story. This is for a statistically significant account I was doing some analysis on. But let me tell you right now that I wouldn't be surprised if this is across the board. What it shows you, though, is even though each of the companies have, say, in this case, Google their back end, what it shows you is they're all different and they all treat traffic differently. So if you're saying it really makes no difference where you send your traffic, garbage, absolute garbage. Like you can just take a look at it and you go, yeah, well, there's the numbers, yeah, that's what they are. Yeah, so they're all different. And the reason why they're different is each monetization source has developed their own intellectual property. It's not 100% reliant on Google. They all develop their own intellectual property of how they handle different types of traffic and so forth like that. Yeah, and that's why you get such wide results. That's why they're so diverse and everything. Yeah, so if you really want to go and maximize your revenue, you don't put it just with one company. You have to put it with them all. And you've got to do that simultaneously. And dare I say, that's what we do here at ParkLogic. But I hope you found those stats quite interesting. As I said to you, hey, there's no downside to signing up for an account at ParkLogic. The one caveat is you've got to be doing at least $250 a month. You really do. At least that, realistically. We deal with people dealing with tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. So the more revenue, obviously, the better. So if you're sitting there and you're saying, I deal with $1,000 a day in revenue, and my revenue's been going down for like the last few years, give us a call. Don't forget to check out my blog. The blog's got lots of great information there, incredible wealth of history in there and my thoughts on it, and masterclass lessons. If you want to take part in a Q&A session about monetization, really come to grips with it and what it means, then check out masterclass lessons and then come and join us for the next Q&A, because I think you'll find it absolutely fascinating as I begin to unpack what it means to really understand domain monetization. And I hope, once again, I'm hoping to get some more time in my life so I can release some more series, so it's in masterclass lessons as well. So more courses and things like that. But anyway, in the meantime, I hope you have really enjoyed this video and taking a look at those correlations. I must admit, I found they're fascinating, and it began to explain a lot. The other interesting thing is to look at, from our side, to look at overall for all of our clients, and then for looking at individual clients, what's going on with those correlations. And as we do changes in technology and everything, we're constantly trying to improve results. But in the meantime, you have a wonderful week. Hope you enjoyed Cyber Monday and Black Friday last week, and look forward to seeing you again next week. I hope you enjoyed that video and you find them really valuable for your business and helping you make better decisions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or pass the video on to your friends. Anyway, thanks a lot for that. Have a great day. Bye.